When was the last time you looked at yourself in the mirror and asked, "Am I truly living the life I want?" Not the life that others expect from me, not the one that seems right in the eyes of society, but the one that genuinely resonates with my soul. Carl Jung, one of the most profound thinkers in modern psychology, left us with a lesson that few dare to follow: the importance of choosing yourself, even when everything around you seems to push you in the opposite direction. We live in a world meticulously designed to distract you, to keep you trapped in routines, expectations, and an endless stream of obligations that seem unavoidable. From the moment you wake up, you are bombarded with external demands: work, family, responsibilities, social norms, all dictating how you should behave, what you should strive for, and even what success should look like. But here's a truth that many refuse to acknowledge. Every time you prioritize others over yourself, you are sending a silent message to your inner self that it does not matter, that its needs, desires, and truths are secondary. You are ignoring that quiet voice from deep within your subconscious, the one that persistently tries to guide you toward a more authentic and fulfilling life. Jung believed that our connection with the unconscious is not something optional. It is an essential part of who we are. Yet so many people silence it, push it aside, and choose to ignore its signals because facing it can be uncomfortable. That feeling of unease you experience when something in your life doesn't feel right, that is not random. That is your soul speaking to you, trying to show you that something needs to change, even if the mere thought of change terrifies you. Now take a moment and reflect. How many of the decisions you've made recently came from a place of true authenticity? And how many were driven by fear? Fear of disappointing others, fear of stepping outside the norm, fear of discomfort, or fear of breaking away from what is familiar? Jung urges us to deeply contemplate this because he understood a universal truth. Decisions that are not rooted in your inner truth create nothing but chaos and disconnection. The further you stray from yourself, the more lost you will feel. But let's clarify something important. Choosing yourself does not mean rejecting others. This is not about living in selfishness or disregarding the people around you. It is about recognizing that, in order to give the best version of yourself to the world, you must first be at peace with yourself. This is the fundamental principle of self-love, a concept Jung explored in depth. Self-love is not a luxury. It is not an excuse to escape responsibilities. It is the foundation upon which all meaningful and authentic relationships are built. When you choose to prioritize yourself, something profound shifts in your energy. You begin to attract people and situations that are aligned with your true essence. It's as if the universe responds to your decision to live in truth, eliminating what no longer serves you and bringing forth what you truly need to grow. But to reach this state, you must first confront your shadows, the parts of yourself that you have ignored, suppressed, or feared. Jung described the shadow as the hidden aspect of our psyche, the one that contains everything we would rather not acknowledge about ourselves. And while facing your shadow can be uncomfortable, it is within this confrontation that true transformation begins. Because when you integrate your shadows, when you stop fighting against them and learn to accept them, you unlock an inner power you never imagined you had. This process of integration does not happen overnight. It requires courage, patience, and an unwavering commitment to understanding yourself. But what you gain in return is invaluable. clarity, the ability to see beyond the illusions you once believed in. Purpose, a renewed sense of direction and meaning in your life. Inner peace, a calm so profound that no external chaos can shake it. You gain the ability to say no to what does not align with you, without guilt, without fear, and without worrying about the judgment of others. But most importantly, you gain the freedom to be who you truly are. You might be wondering, how do I begin this journey? The answer is far simpler than you think. Start by listening to yourself. Every time you feel discomfort, uncertainty, or a surge of emotion, pause and ask yourself, what is my unconscious trying to tell me? Because, as Jung once said, the answers you seek externally are already within you. You just need the courage to listen and the determination to act accordingly. One of the hardest things we do in life is listen to our intuition, especially when it leads us down a path that challenges everything we've built. Maybe it's a relationship you know is no longer working. Maybe it's a job that drains you but feels impossible to leave. Maybe it's a dream you've been chasing simply because it seemed like the right thing to do. Jung reminds us that ignoring these signals is not a sign of strength. It is a denial of our true essence. To choose yourself is to have the courage to let go of what no longer resonates with you. And that is not always easy. We cling to the familiar because change is terrifying. We convince ourselves that better the devil you know than the one you don't. But Jung challenges us to see change not as an ending, but as a doorway, a passage to a more authentic version of ourselves. So think about this. What are you holding on to that no longer serves you? What relationships, beliefs, or habits are you maintaining out of fear? You may feel that letting go of certain people or situations would be a loss, but the real loss happens when you sacrifice your inner peace just to hold on to something that no longer has meaning. The choice is always yours. And perhaps the most important question you can ask yourself right now is, am I ready to truly choose myself? Choosing yourself is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of profound love and deep respect for who you truly are. For too long, society has conditioned us to believe that prioritizing ourselves is wrong, that putting our needs first is somehow a betrayal of the people around us. But the reality is quite the opposite. When you finally make the conscious decision to choose yourself, something truly magical begins to unfold. It's as if a fog that had been clouding your vision starts to lift, and for the first time in a long time, you see things with clarity. The people who genuinely support you remain by your side, while those who only drained your energy, those who never truly valued you, start to fade away. And this is no coincidence. It is the direct reflection of an internal transformation, an alignment between your inner world and your external reality. Carl Jung called this synchronicity, the mysterious yet undeniable connection between your thoughts, emotions, and the circumstances that unfold in your life. When you begin to live in alignment with your truth, your external world shifts to mirror that transformation. It is as if the universe responds to your authenticity by reshaping your environment to match it. However, this process requires something that many people find difficult: radical honesty with yourself. Choosing yourself is not just about making bold decisions or setting firm boundaries. Sometimes it also means acknowledging uncomfortable truths about your past. Perhaps you have made choices that were not a true reflection of who you really are. Maybe you have allowed people to overstep your boundaries, sacrificing your own well-being to please them. You might have said yes to things you knew you should have rejected out of fear of disappointing others. But here's the important part. This is not a reason to judge yourself. Instead, it is an opportunity, an invitation to learn, to recalibrate, and to make a different choice moving forward. Jung believed that authenticity is not a destination. It is a continuous journey. It is a process of learning, evolving, and growing into the truest version of yourself. And on this path, you will face resistance. There will be moments when you doubt yourself, when old habits call you back, tempting you to return to familiar patterns simply because they feel comfortable. But remember this, true growth never happens within your comfort zone. The most profound transformations occur when you dare to step beyond the familiar, into the unknown. The world will not always understand your decision to choose yourself. There will be people who criticize you, who question your choices, who even distance themselves from you because you no longer fit their expectations. And yes, this can be painful, because when you choose yourself, you stop seeking external validation. You begin to realize that your worth is not defined by what others think of you, but rather by what you believe about yourself. This does not mean that you must isolate yourself or disconnect from those around you. Quite the contrary. When you choose yourself, your relationships evolve in ways you never imagined. You no longer chase approval. You seek genuine connection. You no longer settle for shallow interactions. You crave relationships that nourish your soul. And in this process, you discover something beautiful. The right people will always be there, not because they need you, but because they value you exactly as you are. As you begin to live from a place of authenticity, the world around you transforms. This is not magic, nor is it some kind of trick. It is the powerful interplay between your inner and outer worlds. Jung often spoke about how our psyche projects our inner state onto the external world. If you live in internal conflict, you will attract external conflict. If you reject yourself, you will encounter rejection in various forms. But if you choose yourself, if you fully accept and embrace who you are, you will begin to see how the people and circumstances around you also start to shift. This transformation does not happen overnight. It is a process, and like any process, it requires patience and commitment. There will be days when you feel like you are taking steps backward, moments when your old tendencies try to resurface. But this is where the real test lies. Your ability to stay firm in your decision to choose yourself, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when it feels lonely. The world glorifies sacrifice. But at what cost? Not everyone will support your choice to prioritize yourself. We live in a world that glorifies sacrifice, where giving everything to others, even at the expense of our own well-being, is seen as noble. But what happens when we pour from an empty cup? What happens when we give so much that we lose ourselves in the process? Choosing yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. Because only when you are whole, when you are aligned with your truth, can you truly give to others from a place of abundance rather than depletion. So dare to choose yourself. Not just once, but every day. Not just in the big moments, but in the smallest of decisions. And watch as your life begins to transform in ways you never imagined. But Carl Jung taught us something profoundly important. We cannot give what we do not possess. If you sacrifice your happiness, your energy, or your inner peace in an attempt to please others, then what you are offering is not authentic. And sooner or later, that imbalance will manifest itself in your life, whether through emotional exhaustion, dissatisfaction, or even a sense of emptiness. Take a moment to reflect on your current relationships. How many of them inspire you, uplift you, and bring you peace? And how many leave you feeling drained, confused, or emotionally depleted? Jung invites us to ponder this because our relationships are not merely social connections. They are mirrors that reflect our internal state. The people we choose to keep close are reflections of the beliefs, values, and emotional patterns that reside within us. If you find yourself allowing someone to repeatedly cross your boundaries, it is not necessarily because they are bad, but rather because a part of you has not yet learned how to protect itself. Setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of self-love. Jung believed that the unconscious mind is constantly working to guide us toward our well-being, but more often than not, we ignore its signals. That sense of exhaustion you feel after interacting with certain individuals is not a coincidence. It is your unconscious telling you that the relationship is not in alignment with your true essence. And if you continue to ignore these signals, the price you will always pay is your inner peace. Choosing yourself means setting boundaries, not as walls that shut people out, but as bridges that lead to healthier and more authentic relationships. When you say no to what does not serve you, you are simultaneously saying yes to your truth, your dreams, and your well-being. This does not mean that you should sever ties with everyone, but rather that you must be honest with yourself about which relationships nourish you and which ones drain you. As you begin to live from this place of authenticity, something extraordinary happens. Your intuition strengthens. That inner voice, which once seemed faint or uncertain, starts guiding you with greater clarity. You begin making choices that not only make logical sense, but also feel right deep within your soul. This is the power of choosing yourself. It reconnects you with your intuition, with that inner compass that has always been there, waiting for you to trust it. Jung described intuition as one of the purest forms of connection with the unconscious. It is that inexplicable knowing, that feeling in your gut when something either feels right or does not. But to truly hear it, you must silence the noise of the outside world. This means letting go of the need for approval, detaching from societal expectations, and learning to trust yourself. Because at the end of the day, no one else can truly know what is best for you. When you decide to choose yourself, you are sending a powerful message to the universe. I am ready to live in alignment with my truth. And the universe responds. Suddenly, you begin to attract people, opportunities, and experiences that resonate with who you truly are. This does not mean that life will be free of challenges, but those challenges will no longer feel like an endless struggle. Instead, they will become stepping stones, opportunities for growth, transformation, and self-discovery. By choosing to live in authenticity, you also begin to experience something Jung described as synchronicity. These seemingly random, yet perfectly timed events that unfold in your life are not mere coincidences. They are a direct reflection of your inner alignment. When you are in harmony with yourself, the external world starts aligning with you as well. Doors open effortlessly, the right people come into your life at the right moment, and everything begins to flow in ways that once seemed impossible. This is the beauty of embracing your true self. When you honor your inner world, the external world responds in kind. And in that space of deep alignment, you will find not only a greater sense of fulfillment, but also a profound sense of peace, the kind that comes from knowing you are exactly where you are meant to be. When you choose yourself and decide to honor your truth, the universe seems to conspire in your favor. The right opportunities arrive effortlessly, the right people appear at the perfect moment, and everything begins to flow in a way that once seemed impossible. It is as if the entire fabric of existence shifts to align with your newfound sense of purpose. Suddenly, what once felt out of reach is now within your grasp. But this does not mean that the path will be free of obstacles. In fact, some of the greatest challenges arise precisely when you decide to choose yourself. It is as if the world, so accustomed to the version of you that aimed to please everyone else, suddenly resists your transformation and tries to test your commitment. You might feel the weight of external expectations pushing against you, trying to pull you back into old patterns. The doubts will come, the fears will surface, and the temptation to return to what is familiar will be strong. This is where your true power lies. Every time you reaffirm your decision, every time you prioritize your inner peace over external demands, you are strengthening the connection with your true self. The key is to remain steadfast, even when uncertainty creeps in. It is completely natural to feel fear when leaving behind the known, even if you are aware that it no longer serves you. But remember this: every time you choose to stay in a place that no longer brings you joy, you are closing the door to something that could profoundly transform you. The great psychologist Carl Jung taught us that change does not occur without resistance, but that resistance is not a sign that you are making a mistake. Rather, it is proof that you are moving forward. It is the friction between the old and the new, the tension between who you were and who you are becoming. One of the most powerful ways to overcome this resistance is through deep self-reflection. Ask yourself, what do I truly value? What is most important to me? What kind of life do I want to build? When you gain clarity about your values and goals, it becomes significantly easier to make decisions that align with them. And as you do, you begin to attract people and circumstances that resonate with the same energy. The world around you shifts in response to your inner alignment. It is also crucial to remember that you are not alone on this journey. While choosing yourself may feel like a solitary act at first, in reality, you are forging a path that will naturally draw the right people toward you, those who will support, celebrate, and walk alongside you. These individuals will not require you to change in order to fit into their lives. They will embrace you exactly as you are, because they too have chosen to live in alignment with their truth. When you reach this point, something inside you changes forever. Life no longer feels like an endless struggle. The decisions that once seemed overwhelming now come with clarity and confidence. And most importantly, you discover a sense of peace that is no longer dependent on external circumstances. Because, as Jung taught us, true peace can only come from within. That inner peace is the natural result of honoring your needs, respecting your boundaries, and living in full alignment with your values. But it is more than just a personal gift. It is something you can share with the world. When you live authentically, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage becomes a beacon of light for those who are still searching for their own path. And in this process, you do not merely transform your own life. You create a ripple effect that profoundly impacts those around you. Take a moment to imagine what your life could be like if you let go of everything that no longer serves you. How would you feel if you release the relationships that drain your energy, the commitments that do not resonate with your soul, and the expectations that you never truly wanted to fulfill? Picture the freedom, the lightness, and the clarity you could experience. This is not an unattainable dream. It is a real possibility, fully within your reach. All it requires is the willingness to choose yourself. When you make this choice, you begin to see that you are not losing anything by letting go of what no longer aligns with you. On the contrary, you are making space for what truly matters. You are crafting a life that not only makes sense, but also fills you with purpose and joy. And that, in itself, is a transformation worth embracing. This is the gift that Carl Jung wanted all of us to discover, the profound realization that true transformation begins the moment we stop searching outside of ourselves for something that has always been within. It is the moment we choose to live from a place of authenticity, embracing who we truly are, rather than who we were conditioned to be. And when this happens, something extraordinary unfolds. You begin to feel truly alive. No longer are you trapped by the expectations of others, nor do you feel bound by the rigid demands of a society that constantly tells you who you should be, how you should behave, and what defines success. Instead, you start tuning in to that inner voice, the one that has always been there, whispering to you, urging you to look deeper, to recognize that something greater awaits if only you have the courage to pursue it. This feeling of liberation is priceless. It is as if a heavy weight has been lifted from your shoulders, allowing you to breathe fully, deeply, freely, perhaps for the first time in a very long while. However, attaining this freedom requires great courage. It demands that you confront not only the external pressures that have shaped your life, but also the internal fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs that have held you back. Jung reminded us that our greatest enemy is not something outside of us, it is within. It is that persistent inner voice that whispers, "What if I'm not good enough? What if I fail? What if I disappoint others?" But here lies the truth, the secret that so many never realize. That voice is not your truth. It is merely an echo of past experiences, a reflection of conditioning that you have absorbed over the course of your life. Every time you choose to confront it, every time you act in spite of the fear, you are dismantling those limiting beliefs piece by piece, clearing space for something new to emerge. This is the true power of choosing yourself. When you make this choice, you break free from the invisible chains that have kept you bound. As you walk further down this path, something remarkable begins to happen. The things that once seemed so important, the endless chase for validation, the need to prove your worth, the compulsion to please others, begin to lose their grip on you. You no longer feel the urge to compete, to compare, or to conform. Instead, you discover a profound sense of fulfillment in simply being yourself. And it is in this state of authenticity that you uncover your true power. This power has nothing to do with control over others, nor is it about dominance or force. It is a power that comes from deep connection with your inner being, that part of you that has always known who you are and what you need. It is a silent, unwavering force, yet it is unstoppable. Because when you are aligned with yourself, when you stand in your truth, nothing and no one can take you off your path. The beauty of this process is that it does not only transform your life, it transforms the lives of those around you. When you choose yourself, you become a living example of what it means to be authentic. You inspire others, not by preaching, not by convincing, but simply by being. Your presence alone encourages others to question their own beliefs, to challenge their own fears, and to step into their own truth. This is something Carl Jung understood deeply. He knew that individual transformation has a ripple effect, that every time a person chooses authenticity, they contribute to a collective shift in consciousness. Because when we live from our true selves, our relationships change, our communities change, even the world itself begins to change. But do not be mistaken. This journey is not linear. There will be days when you feel strong, empowered, and completely in tune with yourself. And then there will be days when doubt creeps in, when uncertainty clouds your vision, when you question everything. These moments of doubt are not signs of failure. They are an integral part of the process. Jung saw them as opportunities to deepen your connection with yourself, to reflect, to learn, and to grow. Each challenge, each setback is an invitation to shed the old, to step into something greater, to move closer to your true essence. And in those moments, when the path feels uncertain, it is essential to remember this. You are not alone. Although the journey toward authenticity may seem solitary at first, you will inevitably find people, experiences, and resources that support you along the way. The more you embrace who you truly are, the more aligned you become with those who resonate with your energy. And when that happens, the journey no longer feels like a struggle. It becomes a homecoming, perhaps a book, a conversation, or even a video like this one that reaches you at the exact moment you need it most. These are not mere coincidences. They are signs, signals from the universe that confirm you are on the right path. Every moment, every decision, every challenge you have overcome has led you here, to this very instant. And though the future may seem uncertain, there is one undeniable truth. As long as you continue to choose yourself, you will be building a life that is truly worth living. The greatest gift you can give yourself is to be unapologetically you, not the version of yourself that others expect, nor the one you have created just to fit in, but your purest essence, the real you that exists when no one else is watching. Carl Jung once revealed that the true work of life does not lie in searching outside of ourselves, but in unraveling the deep mysteries that reside within. And when you finally make the conscious choice to embrace yourself, you come to a profound realization. Everything you are searching for has always been within you. This is a call to action. Life is far too short to remain trapped in the need for external validation, to ignore your own desires, to silence your dreams in order to meet the expectations of others. The time to take the first step is now. The time to confront your fears, to acknowledge your shadows, and to listen to the quiet whispers of your intuition is today. The moment to reconnect with your true self is right in front of you. Because when you choose yourself, you do more than transform your own life. You also change the world around you. Your energy shifts, your perspective expands, and your very presence begins to inspire those who cross your path. And now, What comes next? This is the moment to reflect on everything you have just heard. Ask yourself, which aspects of my life are truly aligned with my authentic self? What can I let go of in order to live with greater authenticity? What is holding me back from embracing the person I was always meant to be? Remember, every small step matters. Every single choice you make in favor of your true self is a victory. And most importantly, you are not alone on this journey. This space, this community, this channel exists to remind you of your infinite potential and to guide you along your path of self-discovery. If this message has resonated with you, don't let it stop here. Extend its impact beyond yourself. Share this video with someone who might need it. Someone who is searching for answers. Someone who is facing their own challenges. Someone who might need this exact moment of clarity. Every interaction matters. Every comment, every like, every share helps this message reach more people. People who, just like you, are searching for a deeper connection with their true selves. Imagine the impact we can create together. A community of individuals committed to living from a place of authenticity, courage, and self-acceptance. Now, I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments, what part of this message spoke to your heart? What steps are you willing to take today to choose yourself, to honor your true essence? Every word you share matters, not just to me, but to everyone who is on this same journey, seeking their own truth, their own clarity. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you never miss another message like this. Together, we can bring this reflection to every corner, to every person who needs to be reminded that the greatest power of all lies in the simple yet profound act of choosing to be who you truly are. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. But above all, thank you for being part of this movement, this awakening, this shared journey towards self-discovery. Never forget, you are not alone. Change begins with you. And the world desperately needs more people with the courage to embrace their authentic selves. I'll see you in the next video. And always remember, life truly begins the moment you decide to choose yourself.
Carl Jung left us an impressive legacy by showing us how the most challenging moments of our lives are actually gateways to deep transformation. Those moments when everything seems to fall apart, when doubt invades us, and we feel lost are not the end. They're the beginning of something extraordinary. Maybe this has happened to you. One day, you wake up and feel like you no longer fit into your own life. What once excited you now feels empty. The people around you, even the closest ones, no longer inspire you. It's as if a part of you knows that something big is about to happen, but you don't know what it is or how to face it. This is no coincidence. Jung described it as a call from the unconscious, an inner impulse that seeks to pull you out of routine so that you can discover who you truly are. The unconscious has curious ways of manifesting itself. It might be through a recurring dream, an inexplicable sense of restlessness, or even unexpected events that seem conspired to push you in a different direction. These signs are your psyche's way of telling you, it's time to change, it's time to wake up. But here's the interesting part. When you ignore these signals, the discomfort grows. Perhaps you felt it before. That sensation being trapped in a life that doesn't feel like yours, in relationships that don't fulfill you, or in a job that doesn't reflect your values. Jung believed that this discomfort is the resistance of your true self struggling to surface. It's a reminder that you are living according to external expectations and not from your own authenticity. Imagine this. You have spent years walking a path that someone else designed for you. Maybe your parents, society, or even your own insecurities paved that road. But what if you stopped, looked around, and chose a different path? It wouldn't be easy. Jung said that facing the unknown can be terrifying, but it is also the only road to fulfillment. That fear you feel is not your enemy. It is your ally. It is the energy you need to step into the unknown, to explore your shadows, and to discover the immense power that lies within you. Because, according to Jung, only by facing your fears can you transform them into tools for growth. When you dare to look within yourself, something extraordinary happens. You begin to realize that everything you need to change your life is already there, waiting to be discovered. It's not about seeking answers outside, but about allowing yourself to listen to that inner voice that has always been with you, even if you have ignored it at times. Perhaps you're wondering, how do I start this process? Jung taught us that the first step is simple but profoundly powerful: recognizing your shadows, those parts of yourself that you have denied, repressed, or feared, not because they are bad, but because they didn't fit the image you want to project to the world. Have you noticed how certain people or situations seem to bring out the worst in you, as if pressing a hidden button that activates intense and sometimes uncontrollable emotions? This is no coincidence. According to Jung, these experiences are mirrors that reflect your shadows, showing you what you need to integrate in order to become whole. It's uncomfortable, yes, but also liberating, because when you allow yourself to see and accept those parts of yourself, you stop being a prisoner of your automatic reactions. The most incredible part is that by doing so, everything around you begins to change. The relationships that once drained you fade away. The people who truly inspire you start appearing in your life, as if they've been waiting for you to be yourself in order to connect with you. It's as if the universe responds to your decision to live authentically. This is not an instant process. It requires patience, courage, and a deep commitment to yourself. But every small step counts. Every time you choose to listen to your intuition instead of following others' opinions. Every time you allow yourself to say no to something that doesn't resonate with you, you are building a life that truly reflects who you are. Think about it. How many times have you made decisions based on what others expect from you instead of what you truly desire? How many times have you said yes when you want to say no? Those small betrayals of yourself accumulate over time, creating a disconnection that affects every aspect of your life. But the good news is that you can always choose differently. You can always return to yourself. Transformation doesn't happen in an instant. It's a journey, a continuous process of discovery and growth. And while it can be challenging, it is also profoundly rewarding. Because, in the end, what truly matters is not what you achieve or accumulate, but how you feel about yourself. Are you true to your essence? Do you live from your truth? When you start living from your truth, something almost magical happens. The opportunities that once seemed out of reach begin to appear, not because the world has changed, but because you have. Your energy, your decisions, even your words begin to reflect a confidence you never had before. This is a reward of integrating your shadows, of facing those fears that once paralyzed you. Carl Jung believed that this process not only transforms the individual, but also their surroundings. The superficial relationships that once filled your life give way to deep and meaningful connections. And here's the most fascinating part. These connections don't happen by chance. Jung spoke of synchronicity, that mysterious way in which events and people align at the exact moment to help you on your path. Have you ever met someone just when you needed them the most? Or stumbled upon an unexpected opportunity just as you were considering a change? Jung didn't see this as coincidence, but as a sign that you are aligned with your purpose. However, this alignment doesn't happen when you follow the expectations of others. It happens when you listen to your intuition, when you choose a path that truly resonates with you. At this point, you might be wondering, how do I know if I'm living for my truth? The answer isn't always obvious, but there are signs. If you constantly feel the need to mold yourself to fit into your environment, it's likely that you are not being authentic. If there's a persistent feeling of dissatisfaction or emptiness, it is your subconscious trying to tell you something. Don't ignore these signals. They are reminders that you are being called to something greater, something that can only be discovered by being true to yourself. Jung used to say that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, and that is what is at stake here. Your right to be authentic, to live a life that not only makes sense, but also fills you with purpose and joy. However, being authentic doesn't mean the path will be easy. There will be moments when you doubt yourself, when you wonder if you're really heading in the right direction. But here's the secret. Those moments are not setbacks. They are tests, opportunities to reaffirm your commitment to yourself. Because every time you choose truth over comfort, you take one step closer to the life you truly desire. As you move forward on this journey, it's important to remember that you are not alone. Jung taught us that while inner work is deeply personal, we are also connected to something much greater than ourselves, called the collective unconscious, the universe, or simply humanity. This connection means that when you transform, you also have the power to transform others. Think about this. Every time you live from your authenticity, you inspire others to do the same. Your actions, no matter how small they may seem, create a ripple effect. When you choose to be brave, when you decide to listen to your intuition and follow your purpose, you show those around you that they can do it too. And that in itself is an immense gift. So never underestimate the impact of this process. It is not just a personal transformation. It is a contribution to the world. Carl Jung used to speak about the importance of individuation, that process of becoming your most complete and authentic self. But what many fail to understand is that this is not a selfish journey. On the contrary, it is an act of service, because by being who you truly are, you illuminate the path for others. When you start living from your authenticity, something fascinating happens. The chaos in your life begins to reorganize itself. The pieces that once seemed out of place start to find their proper position. Relationships restructure themselves. Some disappear, others deepen, and new connections enter your life. Not because external circumstances have magically changed, but because you are now operating from a different place, from your essence. Carl Jung emphasized that life is not about avoiding chaos, but about learning how to navigate it. That chaos, which often frightens us, is actually a precursor to transformation. It is like the fertile soil that must be tilled before something new can grow. But for this transformation to take place, it is necessary to trust the process, even when you don't fully understand everything that is happening. This does not mean that you should passively accept everything. On the contrary, Jung believed that it is precisely in these moments of uncertainty when your participation should be most active. Reflect, question, and seek the hidden lessons in every experience, because every challenge you face is not just testing you. It is also revealing parts of yourself that you may not have known existed. Perhaps you are facing a difficult relationship, an unfulfilling job, or a situation that seems completely beyond your control. It is easy to see these experiences as obstacles, as barriers preventing you from moving forward. But I invite you to see them differently, as messages from your unconscious mind, reminding you that something needs to change. This is where most people stop, because change means letting go, and letting go can be terrifying. We are so accustomed to clinging to the familiar, even when it does not bring us happiness, that the idea of releasing it fills us with fear. But here lies the power of Jung's perspective. Letting go does not mean losing. It means making space for something new, something better. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you held on to a relationship, a job, or even a routine simply because it was what you knew, even though deep down you were aware that it did not make you happy? This attachment to the familiar is understandable, but it is also what keeps you stuck. Jung reminds us that true freedom comes when you dare to release what no longer resonates with you. And yes, this process can be painful. There may be moments of loneliness, doubt, and questioning everything you once believed about yourself. But that pain is not permanent. It is the price you pay for freedom, for the opportunity to build a life that reflects your truth. And most importantly, it is a pain that leads to healing. At this point, you may be feeling a mix of emotions, curiosity, hope, perhaps even a bit of fear. This is normal. You are stepping into uncharted territory, a space where old rules no longer apply, and where you have the power to write your own story. This is the gift of Jung's perspective, the opportunity to be the author of your life rather than a passive character in it. But remember, you do not have to do this alone. Although this is a deeply personal journey, it is also one that can be enriched by sharing it with others. Seek out people who are on a similar path, who value authenticity and growth as much as you do. These connections will not only support you, but will also remind you that you are not alone in this process. As you move forward on this journey toward authenticity, you'll begin to notice something surprising. The things that once seemed important start to fade away. Superficial worries, the opinions of others, and external expectations lose their power over you. This does not mean that you stop caring about the world around you. Rather, it means that you begin to prioritize what truly matters. Your energy is no longer scattered on things that do not nourish you, but instead focuses on what gives you life. Carl Jung described this transformation as a return to your center. It is like rediscovering an inner beacon that has always been there, but was once hidden beneath layers of social conditioning, fears, and limiting beliefs. And when you reconnect with that beacon, everything in your life begins to align. Your decisions become clearer, your relationships more authentic, and each day takes on a sense of purpose that perhaps you had never experienced before. It is important to mention that this process does not mean you will no longer face challenges. On the contrary, challenges are an inevitable part of life. The difference is that now you will face them from a place of inner strength rather than resistance or fear. Jung used to say, "What you deny submits you. What you accept transforms you." This means that by accepting difficulties as part of the process, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering and open yourself to the lessons they have to offer. Imagine, for a moment, what your life would be like if you stopped fighting against what you cannot control. If, instead of resisting events, you learn to see them as opportunities for growth. This shift in perspective can be radical, but it is one of the greatest lessons Jung left us. Life does not happen to you. It happens for you. Everything you experience, even the painful moments, has a purpose, if you are willing to see it. Perhaps right now, you are facing a situation that seems impossible. It could be a loss, a conflict, or a period of uncertainty. But I want you to remember something crucial. This is not the end. It is merely a chapter in your story, and you have the power to decide how it will continue. Jung believed that transformation occurs not when everything is resolved, but when you decide that you are ready to grow from what you are experiencing. And this is where one of Jung's most fascinating concepts comes into play, the integration of the shadow. We all carry within us aspects that we have repressed or denied, whether out of fear, shame, or simply because we did not know how to handle them. But these shadows are not something to fear. In fact, they are an incredible source of power and wisdom, so long as we are willing to face them. When you begin working with your shadows, you realize that they are not your enemies. They are simply parts of you that long to be seen, accepted, and transformed. It is a process that may feel uncomfortable at first, but in the long run, it grants you immense freedom. Because when you integrate your shadows, you become whole, someone who no longer needs to hide or pretend to be something they are not. This does not mean you have to do it all at once. Transformation is a gradual process, one step at a time. And with every step you take, you move closer to that version of yourself that you always knew you could become. Perhaps you do not see it now, but every small choice you make in this direction has a powerful impact. From the way you speak to yourself to the people you choose to surround yourself with. It all adds up in the end. This journey is not just about changing your life. It is about changing how you experience it. It is about reconnecting with that part of you that knows, deep down, that you are meant for something greater. Not greater in terms of fame or external success, but greater in the sense of living a life that is true, meaningful, and filled with purpose. It is crucial to understand that the path to your authenticity will not always be understood by others. Many times, the people around you will not comprehend the changes you are making. They might even try to convince you to stay where you are. In that comfort zone, they are also familiar with. This does not happen because they want to hold you back, but rather because your transformation may confront their own insecurities. Carl Jung deeply understood this phenomenon. He stated that loneliness does not stem from a lack of people around you, but from the inability to communicate the things that truly matter to you. And this is a truth you will discover along your journey. Not everyone will be ready to understand your evolution, but that does not mean you should stop. Your journey is yours alone, and your authenticity does not need validation from anyone else. The beautiful thing is that as you progress, you will begin to attract people who resonate with your new energy. Those connections that once felt forced or superficial will naturally dissolve, making space for relationships that are genuine, inspiring, and aligned with your purpose. This is a natural process. By becoming more yourself, you allow the right people to find you. This is a key principle in Jungian psychology. the idea that our external world is a reflection of our inner world. When you start aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions with your truth, everything around you begins to reflect that alignment. It is not magic. It is a deep connection between your consciousness and the universe surrounding you. Perhaps you have noticed recurring patterns in your life. Maybe you always attract the same type of relationships, face the same challenges, or experience the same frustrations. This is not a coincidence. Jung referred to this as a projection of the unconscious. Essentially, what you fail to recognize within yourself manifests externally as an opportunity for you to confront it. For example, if you constantly find yourself surrounded by people who seem to devalue you, Jung would suggest that this may be a reflection of how you treat yourself. Not as a way to assign blame, but as an invitation to take a closer look at the parts of yourself that need healing. And when you do this inner work, the external pattern changes because you no longer need to repeat the same lesson. This process of transformation is not linear. There will be days when you feel like you're making giant leaps forward, and others when it seems like you are moving backward. This is normal. Jung described it as a dance between light and shadow, between the conscious and the unconscious. The important thing is to keep moving forward, to trust the process, and to remember that every step matters. Imagine for a moment what your life would be like if you freed yourself from these repetitive patterns. If instead of feeling trapped by the same stories, you could write a new chapter, one that truly reflects your truth and your purpose. This is not just possible. It is inevitable if you are willing to do the inner work. And that work does not have to be complicated. It can start with something as simple as paying attention to your emotions. Jung believed that emotions are the compass of the soul, signals guiding us toward what we need to explore. If something makes you uncomfortable, ask yourself why. If something fills you with joy, observe it. These clues are the map that will lead you to your authenticity. As you continue on this path, you'll also notice a shift in your relationship with time. The things that once seemed urgent will lose their weight, while what is truly important will take center stage. It is as if by aligning with yourself, you also align with the natural rhythm of life. Everything begins to flow more easily, even challenges, because now you face them from a place of clarity and confidence. As you keep exploring this journey toward authenticity, remember that every step counts. No matter how small your progress may seem, every conscious decision you make toward your truth is an act of courage. It is a reminder that you are here for something greater than merely existing. You are here to live, to create, to experience a fulfillment that comes from being true to yourself. The message Jung left us is clear. Transformation does not happen by ignoring our shadows or by trying to be someone we are not. It happens by embracing every part of ourselves, by looking within with honesty, and by allowing ourselves to be who we truly are without masks or pretenses. Now, think about this. What part of yourself have you been ignoring? What aspect of your life do not resonate with your true essence? If something in this message has made you reflect, it is because your unconscious is already communicating with you, asking you to pay attention, to take action. This is the moment. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. And here's the incredible part. By making a decision to live from your authenticity, you're not only changing your own life, you are creating an impact on the world. You are showing others that it is possible to be brave, to be authentic, and to live with purpose. That is the true beauty of this path. It not only transforms you, but also inspires those around you.